Welcome back to part two of Some of Us Will Not Make It. This is a very important segment and series. We're going to go ahead and pick back up to where we left off in part one. We were able to get the history of why we are in the current state that we're in when it comes down to our critical thinking skills, when it comes down to our character, our belief system, and our behavior. As I said before, I gave us all of our props in terms of what we have done for not only this nation, but also the entire world. And I'm not talking about just being black, I'm talking about our specific lineage, what we have contributed not only to the diaspora of black people, but also to the entire world. However, there were things that were set up that we learned about in part one that caused us to learn degenerate behavior because a lot of the slave mentality was passed on from generation to generation to today. So we learned about that. We also learned about um, the purpose of the slave. We went over that. We talked about self-hate, how back in the day, during slavery, there weren't any hair extensions, there were no skin lighteners, there were no straighteners and things of that nature. So that wasn't available for them. So even though during slavery we were taught to hate ourselves and that developed that self-hate, back then they were not able to change any of those things that may have made them feel better about themselves. But in today's society, we have all types of products. We actually have companies that are not like us, but they develop so many products and so many services because although they claim that we are such a small population of the United States, which I doubt seriously, but if that even is the case, we spend anywhere or collectively of what the government knows, we make up about 1.7 to 2 trillion dollars a year as a people. And a lot of that money goes back out from our communities. When once upon a time, not long ago, where people wore pajamas and lived life slow, the black dollar circulated the black community 26 times before it left. We also talked about um, the purification process, how, we've all been in some very, very, very low situations to where we felt like we were at the very bottom of the barrel. And and during that time, we were able to climb up a little bit. Some of us are still at the bottom, can't make it up. We don't know which way to go in order to take it to the next level. Then we have some of us who are in the middle. We're still seeking to climb up, but sometimes we move a few steps backwards. And then we have to climb back up to where we was and try to surpass that. And then you have those who are at the top who are almost out of the barrel, but sometimes life situations happen, things happen, and you're stunned a little bit, but you're still climbing to get out. And then you have a very few people who are out, a very few people who understands what true freedom is, the liberation of your mind, body, and soul. So that's what we talked about. He basically gave an analogy as the egg of a butterfly. Then he gave an analogy of the caterpillar, where most of us are today, only for us to go into a cocoon, bake a little bit, process, learn, relearn, in order to develop into that beautiful butterfly. He also states within this video that some will not make it because we don't have the endurance, we don't have the strength, we don't have the discipline to do it. Some of us will get eaten by, birds or whatever as eggs. So when you're thinking about that as an analogy, I think about Planned Parenthood, what Margaret Sanger, what her goal was and how her goal is still being accomplished even though she's buried somewhere. So even before our children are able to be brought into the world, a lot of them are annihilated before they even take their first breath. Then you go on to the caterpillar, and those are the ones that some of them are comfortable with being the caterpillar. I'm good. I'm not in chains. I'm not getting beaten. I got a job. Yes, sub boss. No sub boss. I got a job. I got decent benefits. I can make it. I'm going to make it to my job on time for the next 30, 40, 50 years. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine not evolving into the butterfly. But then you have some that actually develops.
I just wanna wake my people up. I just wanna send praises up. I just wanna wake my people up. I just wanna send praises up. I just wanna wake my people up. I just wanna send praises up. I just wanna wake my people up. I just wanna send praises up.
The dealers of destiny selected a number of people to go through a unique purification process, with the outcome of evolving a specific aspect of human consciousness. Thus, we have the beginning of the Negro consciousness in the pits of slavery as the caterpillar. And for the past few centuries, the Negro consciousness has been slowly evolving, right? Due to the environmental pressures that were placed upon it, right? Some people evolving quicker than others, some people evolving slower. And so in recent history, it has reached its final phase of evolution, where it can now finally evolve into a new consciousness, right? Which is the destiny of it. But the old Negro consciousness must first be shed before a person can experience this. Just as in the process of becoming a butterfly, it must shed its old skin. And so I want you to pay attention right now to what I'm about to say. Only about 5% of the caterpillars are going to reach the stage of a butterfly. What happens to the rest of them? They don't make it. Some of them get eaten as eggs, some get eaten as caterpillars, and some are eaten in their final phase just before they're getting ready to make the final transformation into a butterfly. But most of them do not make it. And likewise, we see a similar case with the blacks. The vast majority of them are not going to completely make it in these up and coming years.
So when he talks about some develop faster than others, that is absolutely true. We all come from the same lineage. However, some of us with our family ancestry, some of us had different upbringings. All of it is still that slave mentality, but some handled it differently. And depending on your family, that determined what traditions and what values and what traditions were passed on from generation to generation. That determines that. So I may have a little bit more knowledge than the next person, and the next person may have a little bit more knowledge than me. So what we have to do is we have to practice patience with each other, because we're all not going to arrive at the same time. We're just trying to arrive. And based off of what he was saying, in terms of becoming that butterfly, there are many obstacles that we face each and every day. Are we in chains? No, not physical chains, but some of us are in emotional changes. We are chains. We are in mental changes. Chains. We are in psychological chains. all type of chains that are holding us back. And sometimes, though we fight and we may fight hard, there's always going to be opposition trying to keep us in place or trying to make us fall even lower. It's always going to be like that. The cards are stacked up against us. We have to fight hard. So let's continue.
Many of them are far behind. Some of them have greatly evolved, but only a few will complete the journey. And that's it. And the reason that they're not going to make it is because they want to stay as the caterpillar. The few who do make it are the ones who have a desire to complete the journey to become the butterfly. And so, what are some of the things that are involved in completing this journey? One of the things that's involved is a change in the character, right? A change in the character. Now, when the butterfly emerges, it no longer looks like the caterpillar, right? There's a clear distinction between the caterpillar and the butterfly. Likewise, when a person takes on the new consciousness, there should be a clear distinction between the character from the old person and the character of the new. If there's no clear distinction, then the evolution has not been completed, right?
So, as you are getting, I'm stronger, I'm wiser, Marvin Sapp. As we're getting wise, as we're growing, you should be able to tell a difference in yourself. As a matter of fact, other people that knows you should be able to start to see a change and a positive value in your life. You know, it's just such a glow about you. You're always smiling. You always have an encouraging word to say. You don't let anything get you down. There's a light about you. You know, these things will come about, and then you're able to, when you get into your little secret closet and you look, as I look back on my life and I think things over. When you sit back and you look where you was 6 months ago, 1 year ago, 2, 5, 10, 15 years ago, you should be able to see growth, a positive growth in your life. You should be able to distinct what you once was and where you are today. We're always going to be a work in progress. We're never going to reach perfection here, but if you stay the course, you will at least be able to get out of that barrel or out of that pit. And I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. Regardless to what's going on around you, your mental and your spirit will be so elevated that it may be happening around you, but it won't be happening to you because you see the bigger picture. I'm not going to hold this video much longer, but I do want to add that we have got to be there for our children. As foundational Black Americans or American descendants of slaves, it is not by chance that the borders are open. Let's just be real. Let's just keep it 100. It's not by chance that our resources, from civil rights to certain amendments that were put in place specifically only for us, are now being used by other groups, and they are getting more than what the bill was designed for us. There's a reason why California's governor, I believe it is giving over $25,000 to illegal migrants for the purchase of a house. We haven't gotten anything close to that. There's a reason why migrants are able to get thousands of dollars each month in food stamps, getting thousands of dollars each month in cash on a debit card, getting health care benefits. You name it, they getting it. It is not by chance. So we could continue to bicker and fight amongst each other if we want to, but we're going to wind up being all by myself. And that is a hard thing to do. Just to wrap this up, he then talks about the importance of community. I say this in every video just about. When Dr. King says, I fear I have led my people into a burning house. This was right after segregation ended, because we today make up about anywhere between 1.7 and $2 trillion collectively in terms of income of what they can calculate. And out of that, we have no businesses at all. We are quick to sell our businesses. We are quick to sell our land. We are quick to sell our homes when we can actually turn those things around. But we have to get on the same page. We were closer, way more closer than what we see in the Hispanic community today, because they're able to mingle with people outside of their heritage, and they're able to dap back into their heritage whenever they want to. For us, we only had each other during that time. So we had no choice but to be close together, and we had no choice but to want to see each other win. We had no choice because we were all we had. And it's the same thing today. We are all we have. So all of this bickering, all of this fighting, and not being able to get along, there's so many issues that are out there that I know if we were just to bond together, we would be able to move mountains. But because this person thinking this way, that person thinking that way, this person want to do it this way, we can't get a good footing. We can't start running because we're trying to appease and we're trying to keep up with everybody. And we have to start loving each other again. So I'm not going to hold this video any longer. There's a lot going on. And am I my brother's keeper? I hope you are. You better be. Because there are people coming in for our spots, which nobody could ever replace us. To be real, nobody can ever replace us. We have got to demand respect. We got to stand on business like these young people be saying. And not just say that because it sounds good, but we have to stand. If we see someone outside of our community disrespecting or trying to come for what is ours, we got to stand for that. We can't say, oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. No. We have to stand on business. Even in our own communities, which I did a video a few days ago over, it was letters, Greek letters over lineage. How even in our own community, we want to make it out so bad that we're willing to sell each other out. And we can't do that. So even with people within our communities that have that type of mindset, we have to dismiss them until they get their minds together. We are more powerful together than we are apart. Please like, share, subscribe, comment below, and I will see you in the next video. May God bless.
The world it didn't give it to me. I said this joy that I have, the world didn't give it. The world it didn't give it to me. I got this joy up in my heart, cause joy lives in me. Keeping praise on my mind, cause the world didn't give it to me.